Well, there's either a steep hill back in that timber, or else I can see through it to a clearing there side. But now that all the snow's stomped down all the willow and all the underbrush in there, I think when I go across, I'm gonna go for a hike in there. Maybe I'll take the camera and go see what's in there. I already know it goes back quite a ways, but why not? Go in there and see what's up. Anyways, I just got back. I'm done, beat. Got back late yesterday traveling. Then what else? I had to get up this morning, go straight into doing stuff at the house. Now the electrician's there right now, so that's good. Hopefully get the man cave going, set up soon. He's got a lot of great ideas for it, and he's going on it now. There's a bunch of work there to be done, but it's gonna work. I was on the ferry yesterday, and I basically spent an hour and 40 minutes. And all I did for an hour and 40 minutes was go into the 2 inboxes and save brand new experiences and knowledge from all of you, and put that in my notes on my phone to share here. And I've noticed a couple people email me and ask me why there's 2 email addresses. Well, it's because the whoever's called, whatever you call it, a server, whoever hosts my domain name sucks. It's called Enom, and it sucks. That's just where it was, and I bought it. And very, very lacking in technology myself, and it wasn't set up for it. It got bogged out when it first came out and offered up for everybody to start emailing me. My inbox got clogged up right away, and then you have to pay extra to get more space. And I kept trying to do it online, and it wouldn't let me. And then I had to phone them and go on hold for an hour. And they said, "Oh, we're having troubles on this end. It won't expand right now." I'm like, yeah, shit. So I made another additional email address to house all the incoming emails from all of you, and that's why there's 2, okay? And now there's 2, well, and then after that they expanded the inbox, the original one and the other one. We're this far in now, right? I mean, they're both choked up, but so that's why there's 2 email addresses for everybody to send in their experiences. Now I got a whole bunch I'm gonna start in on, and it's so hard, it's hard to not give updates on other knowledge of some crazy shit that's going on, in my community today, in my country, And I don't know why a lot of people knee-jerk and say, you're getting political. Well, it's not getting political. It's talking about everyday life that's going on today that's affecting every single one of us. And that needs to be spoken about loudly, and somebody has to start speaking about it loudly. And I got no problems doing that. And obviously there's a fair reach on this channel right now. There's a lot of Canadians on this channel as well. There's typically, with all my app downloads, it's typically 10 to 1 American to Canadian downloads. That's only because of the population. There's 10 times more people in the United States than there is in Canada, and that's why. But I still do have a pile of Canadians here, and I don't normally post anything on social media. Like I'm not active on Facebook. I post up stuff on Instagram and it automatically goes to the Facebook pages. So I'm not really that active on there for sharing messages and videos, etc. I've never promoted this YouTube channel, this topic on any of those social media pages ever. I don't promote it. It's everybody catching wind of it coming here on their own. That's exactly how this has gone. Everybody's come here on their own. It hasn't been marketed or pushed in any way by me. Actually, in the beginning, all the haters, all those lunatics who think they're way better than you, who controlled the narrative, they all went out of their ways to make videos about me in the beginning, very unwittingly. They didn't realize it, but they were marketing the living shit out of this channel, and you give them a bunch of the credit for blowing this channel up, because that's what they did. Kind of funny. But anyway, one thing I want to get out is I have to share this before I share numerous emails that have come in. And I just have to point something out to all of the people in my community here in Canada, especially in British Columbia. Currently we have one spokesperson for the BC Health, and it's Bonnie Henry. Not a good person. And there's a lot of people, the tide seems to be swinging right now. It's just a quick message I have to get out. The tide seems to be swinging. All of the double, triple, single, double, triple vaccinated people are now getting told that they cannot, by law, have more than 10 people in their home at Christmas time. All the businesses have gotten shut down just like they did in the very beginning. They waited till Christmas time to do it again. And they're demoralizing the population. They're taking the wind out of your sails. They're hammering you into the ground. And it's not fair, it's not right. And I don't know what more of an indicator all of you people need for it's either a very, very irresponsible so-called leadership we have at the helm right now, who are chasing their tails and don't know what to do, or something very dark and evil is going down. It's one of the two, and there's nothing else. We have this person, apparently, I don't know how a person in Canada today would get the authority to dictate to anyone how many people they may have in their home, and that's here in Canada. And that's not right, and that's worth fighting for keeps, as far as I'm concerned. But it needs to be spoken out loud about. And just so all of you know, and why I'm so frustrated, and why I have to pass on these words right now, because after this person said, quote, there will be no New Year's parties this year. They're all canceled. You cannot have a New Year's gathering or a party, and you cannot by law have more than 10 people in your home at Christmas time. This person, hired by and paid for by the government, has also been the person to tell us how to tell people they cannot come into your home, including family members, if they're not vaccinated. Okay? We already understand that. But here's the raw, embarrassing, humiliating truth for them is, as an example, I came across in the BC Fair yesterday, and I counted over 150 people in the cafeteria, shoulder to shoulder, vaxxed or unvaxxed, didn't even matter, all with their masks off, eating and spitting food and burping all over the shop, okay? Every single big box store I passed in my travels yesterday was absolutely full to capacity with no limits of people going in there. Escalators had people shoulder to shoulder, side by side, going up and down them. Upwards of over 50 people just on that one escalator. That's what I saw yesterday. And this is a day after our government is telling the citizens, you can't have 10 people in your home and you can't have a New Year's party. And your business is shut down on New Year's Eve at 7 o'clock. I guess possibly because COVID comes at 7 o'clock at night, right? But anyway, I needed to point that out. All right? I have to point that out, you guys, and all you guys that get a little impatient with me, sorry about it. Not so sorry. This has to be spoken about out loud. Okay? You cannot get more of a blatant indicator that something real shitty's going on. And the people who are double, triple vaxxed, they're starting to smell the roses and they're angry. And they're getting angry because what do we get vaccinated for then? Why do we get triple vaccinated? When you're going to tell us, even though we're triple vaccinated, wearing masks, we can't have more than 10 people in our homes. But meanwhile, every single mall, every single grocery store, every single big box store, including every single government-funded every single BC ferry, the cafeterias, the liquor stores, have dozens of people in them right now, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, right now. And 2 days ago, the population was dictated to by the little dictator. You can't have more than 10 people in your home. All right? If you can't see the absolute hypocrisy, irresponsible leadership going on just with that fact, I'm sorry for you. Okay, I'm getting angry. That's the end of my quick rant. But I have nowhere else to share these words right now, okay, you guys? And I have to share them. I have to point out what's going on. And I have to let it be known publicly. I have to. Okay? There you go. Now, getting on with things. It's 3/14. It was the shortest day of the year yesterday, I think. So it's going to be getting dark fairly soon. See if anything gets tossed at me today. Now, let's get going here. I'm going to read some of these emails that have come in currently, all right? It's just easier for me to go down from the top of the list down. I'll do that for a little bit for a change. Listen to this. Listen to this title, Steve Shaming Blogs. All right, this ought to be interesting. Hello, Steve. This started as a letter to you, but you can share it if you like. So I was watching one of Dave's videos yesterday, and he mentioned to use a new browser called DuckDuckGo. I don't know why, but for some reason I searched your name. Sorry. Right at the top, there was a link to a blog about how Steve Isdall lost credibility with me. Naturally, I laughed, but I had to read it. He went on about how all the letters are crazy people's lies and railed you for basically not picking and choosing what you read, which literally contradicts the sole meaning of the channel, I thought. But whatever. He picked one of the letters suggesting Nephilim and commented about, I quote, thousands of comments agreeing on the theory and that they are crazy. I know this to be a boldly exaggerated lie. He obviously just doesn't have the capacity to see past the surface of this and likely most topics. There were several of our people sticking up for you, but he's just blind, period. Another one that caught my eye was how you are some lawman from Kansas, and that you killed this guy's brother and took his kid and fled to Canada and stole all his shit. It kept going on, but the tears from laughter stopped me from going any further. Oh my God, is that crazy? Is the internet crazy, you guys? The amount of people that have gone after me and tried to discredit me and the shit that has been written about me online is really something else. But that's a good one. That's pretty good. What I surely know is you've read both my letters word for word. I'm intimately familiar with many of the same places you frequent, so I recognize locations, and by your words, I know that you actually know the exact spots I'm describing. Everything that comes out of your mouth is truth and deep knowledge of your surroundings. It's just how things are. They are not the words of a liar or someone trying to fake their way through it. Anyway, my original point was that I was taken aback by the sheer disregard for the truth and the shocking untruths and slander. Dave Pilatus speaks of this same shit happening to him. Don't share this unless you want to, in which case, just take out the exact locations. Alright? One story that I left out, I can't be sure wasn't someone just being a drunk and trying to get shot, except for this. I was living near the corner of blank and blank road. I know the roads. It was the early hours, and I was awoke to 4 stomps starting in front of my bedroom window. Oops, hold on. They traversed the deck, and it didn't go the whole distance. This sounded like it got as far as the steps that go down to the yard, but it didn't go down the steps. These stomps were so heavy that I wasn't sure if they were going to break through or rip the deck off first, and it had to have jumped off. But it's about 12 feet to the ground. There is no way it could get down the steps without me knowing. I could hear the dog and cats walking from my room. Trailer walls should explain that for you. I jumped up I ran to the main window because at the time I was sure it was still on the deck, and my roommates were shitting their pants asking what was that. I said it was a bear, but it wasn't. It was on 2 feet. It sounded like a person running, a 500-pound person. At this point, I hadn't totally put my pieces together. My Pink Mountain trip was the only surety at this point. Again, I can't say it wasn't a drunk friend, but it just didn't add up. I didn't know anyone that big. I don't care what anyone says, you haven't given me one single reason to doubt anything that comes out of your mouth. Thank you for your channel. I really do look forward to the vids daily. Some experiences need a little more salt than others, but I tend to take away much truth from the majority for sure. All right, man. Dan, thanks for that email. Appreciate reading it, enjoyed reading it. Definitely made me laugh. Especially the I'm from Kansas part. That was a pretty good one. And about where you had that happen. Just so you know, the entire community is surrounded by ongoing sightings and traps for years and years and years, and still today. It's just the way it is. So, and you emailing that and sharing with all of us, your gut instincts were right, obviously. And if they weren't, you wouldn't have shared that with us, right? You wouldn't have went out of your way to share us that experience. You already know what happened. Thanks for sending that in, and keep emailing more in. Not so much about people whining online, but more about experiences and knowledge that can help us, all right? Experience of Canada. I sent you the below email months ago. Hopefully this one finds you, all right? Hi, Steve, please don't mention my name. I've been wanting to send this for a while, so here it goes. I'm 36 and I live in the Midwestern United States. I'm a regular guy that someone looking at my life from the outside in would probably describe me as a successful professional person. I don't say this to brag because honestly, I cannot care less about what anyone thinks of me. I just feel that outsiders categorize people who have Sasquatch encounters as deranged hillbillies. The truth is, we represent every aspect of society and every profession. If any person spends a lot of time in the woods, doing any number of outdoor activities, the possibility of encountering a Sasquatch go up exponentially, especially if you are in touch with the energy surrounding you. Ever since I was 10, me and my brothers and our dad made fishing trips to Canada every year. Initially, we paddled into the boundary waters of southern Canada, a trip I always cherished. We had many adventures and witnessed many awesome things, including the mallard loons mating dance 1 year before it was ever captured on camera. I even saw a bald eagle swim once. A bizarre sight for sure. Such an awesome place. As my father grew older, we switched to a fly-in outfit. We would drive to Kenora, Canada, and fly out into the wilderness the next day on pontoon planes. While this seems less extreme than the canoe trip, it is much more isolated, as you have 1 to 3 lakes all to yourself. No roads, no people, nothing but you and nature. This is where I start skipping in my words because I can hear something off to my right. And that makes one of my ears and my attention go straight to the right, and it takes away from reading, and it makes me a little awkward reading. And that's where that shit's been getting tossed at me, right? So I'm going to keep reading. But if I get a little awkward, it's because I'm not fully concentrating on what I'm reading right now. I can hear something already. About 13 years ago, just before our trip, we watched a show where blank blank took an expedition to this same little corner of Canada investigating a possible Bigfoot around a specific cabin. And just so you guys know, when I come across names of people who really want to be promoted online, I blank them out. And that's what I just did, all right? He and his partners were wood knocking, and eventually a rock flew into their camp and they cowered in the cabin the rest of the night. At the time, we had no Sasquatch background, but we thought, that's where we're about to go. Let's try this wood knocking. So, our strategy was simple. Knock every night intermittently while we had drinks around the campfire. Every time we would knock in sets of 3. In our minds, if we got 3 knocks back, that would prove intelligent response. The first 2 nights were fruitless with no responses. Then came night 3. Somewhere around 11 p.m. we had been repeating our knocking routine. We were quiet for a while, and then to our east, a single knock ran out. We knocked back. A single knock came back from the same place again. And then this repeated a 3rd time. I thought it sounded like he was 100 yards away, but everyone else I was with thought it was much, much closer than that. We started to become very afraid. We pulled all the wood we had into the fire in an attempt to keep whatever it was at bay. That's when the really scary part happened. A second Sasquatch, unbeknownst to us, had stalked up to about 50 feet from us, across the clearing just inside the tree line to our due north. We never saw it. He started to pace back and forth. He was breaking countless sticks or branches. These snaps seemed to be coming from a height of about 6 feet. It was so close. We were all in shock and terrified. Our fire was growing huge, and the entire clearing and adjoining wood line was as plain as broad daylight. I was thinking to myself, why aren't we seeing him? He's right there. He's going to pop right out in that clearing. Where is he? After that, we armed ourselves with axes and machetes, as we had no guns. We went inside and nothing else happened. For the sake of full disclosure, a big black bear came into our camp the next day. This is unrelated, but almost everyone I tell try to blame the bear. An apparent wood knocking, walking on 2 feet, limb snapping bear. Who knew? Haha. This is the last part, and I think it might help others. I have never been a victim of this experience. It didn't traumatize me. I feel terrible for those who carry trauma that have had much more intense experiences than myself. To all of you, try the following technique. There are times where I would doubt my experience. Did that really happen? Did I misconstrue events because I was excited and scared? This is a paranormal beast. How could I possibly have encountered it? Am I crazy? About 5 years ago, I was researching orbs of light people report seeing in the woods. I came across an interview with a young American Indian. He was asked about orbs. He wasn't surprised at all. To him and his people, these orbs are called foxfire. According to them, they are rare, but a natural atmospheric phenomenon that occurs when conditions are just right. Now, maybe they're correct about these orbs, and maybe they aren't, but it doesn't matter. A switch clicked in my mind. I'm not crazy. I did not witness a paranormal beast. I saw a natural thing that mankind doesn't understand. To those who feel crazy because of a Sasquatch encounter, make peace with what you saw. I don't have the answers, but whatever you saw, no matter how weird, you saw a natural thing. They are a part of this world just like us. Just because mainstream society doesn't believe you, and maybe even your family ignores you, it doesn't change what happened. You witnessed a rare thing in this world. Hell, I've had people not believe that I've seen a bald eagle swim, but it happened, and it was hilarious. Sorry for the length. Thanks for reading. If you want to share with your audience, that's fine. Hopefully my punctuation's up to snuff. By the way, I admire that you're always in the woods in incredibly beautiful places. Sometimes hunting, other times just soaking it all in. Very cool life you've carved out for yourself, Steve. Never take that for granted, as I'm sure you never did. All right, man. Thank you very much for that experience. Name withheld. Gotcha. And that's interesting. You went to that same cabin. I remember seeing that video clip on TV. And the rock actually hit the roof of the cabin they were in, and they all started shitting themselves and didn't want to go outside. I think one time one of those guys did go back out in the woods, and he camped out away from the cabin when nothing happened. Interesting, right? I don't know what that was I hear, but I heard 3 things over there. No big deal. I'm not freaked out, but as soon as it's just natural habit, I hear something off to the side, and my ear will zone in on it when I'm reading, and it really makes me screw up reading most of the time. It might have been a bird, doesn't matter, whatever it was, it just got my attention, and that'll screw me up. Water's beautiful. Salmon roe is cured, it's ready to go. Christmas Eve tomorrow. Although obviously we've got to get through that, and then get to Christmas, got a couple other things to do, and I am fishing. I'm not sure where I'm going to start first, probably this river behind me, and then I'm not going to stop. And I'm going to take you guys with me and show you, and share all the voices while I'm doing it. Alright, what's this one? Alright, so that's different, that's labeled for me, not to share. I'll save that for later. Alright, here we go. What's this one? Mark it as red. A couple of interesting encounters, one personal and one retold, to whomever this may concern. I live in New York, and as a kid, our mother used to bring us upstate. I was young, maybe 8 or 9, and she took us to some random area by a friend of hers house upstate to go salamander hunting for fun or pets, not food or trophy. Trophy salamanders, never heard of that. I ventured a little bit away from her and my brother and was sitting on a large rock when I heard a branch snap, not a twig. I turned quickly in the direction of this sound and saw the branch hanging from high in a healthy tree, and further from me I saw something I just couldn't understand at the time. I thought I was seeing a bear walking upright. I jumped up the rock and ran towards the little creek that my mom and brother were at. I frantically tried to tell her I saw a bear, and she ran us out of the area to our car. I don't have the time right now to recount the other story to you, but I will soon, BK. Right. Well, that was short and straight to the point. You know, I totally understand the no time thing, but thanks for sharing that one. And we're looking forward to your next one, all right? Make sure you do it. All right. Here's one titled, My Experience. Hi, Steve. I love what you're doing here and think it's helping a lot of people. I live in Ontario, Canada right now, but I've lived in BC and Alberta. My experience was years ago when I lived in BC with my parents as a child. I was about 5 or 6, and I can remember it like it was yesterday. My father took me hunting just up from Hope around your neck of the woods. We met as friends at a local coffee shop and all traveled together in an RV. My father borrowed from his boss. That night I fell asleep in the back while we were driving out to the hunting spot. The next day we all woke up and had breakfast, geared up, and started our walks around and about. Me and Dad would take one old logging road, and his friends would scout out another. Didn't see much, but beautiful landscape everywhere. Hiking back to the RV at lunchtime, we waited for the others, shared what we saw and ate, which was pretty much no animals, haha. Taking a few to let our food settle, we talked and decided to head out together down one of the old logging roads we hadn't been down. Everyone armed up except me because I was too young for big game and was there just to learn. We walked about 100 yards down the road. The RV was parked on until we reached the old logging road my father and his friends had talked about. We started down the road after they explained to me we all had to be very quiet while we walked. After a very long time, it seemed to me later, finding out from Dad it was around 2 kilometers down the road, we heard it. It was a very deep and long, loud growl. It stopped everyone in their tracks. All 4 of us were looking around while the whole time this growling was happening. I got an overwhelming feeling to get the hell out of there. I even scurried away from everyone down the logging road to hide under a fern bush without them ever noticing where I went. Oh, that's not good. My father and his friends were too busy looking around for what would be making the sound. It seemed like forever as I watched them turning their heads back and forth, around and around, and then it stopped. It lasted about 30 to 40 seconds. My father noticed I was gone. After asking the others where did my son go, they all looked around. I stepped out of the brush where I was hiding from and waved to my father. I'll bet he kicked your ass. They were confused and asked me how I got down the trail. I told them I felt like something bad was about to go down and needed to run for safety. They were puzzled and just looked at each other. I asked them what that was. Without any hesitation, my father's friend said Sasquatch. Trust me, no one laughed. We headed straight back to the RV. We didn't leave, but my father's friend said it wasn't safe for me to be out walking around with them and I should stay near the RV. He was a native man and hunted these woods all his life. I can tell you, we didn't stay the night there. We moved a few kilometers away. The next day we returned home, and over the years, me and my dad have chatted about that experience. To this day, we both agree that it was what it was. You know it, and by now everyone else is starting to know it. Cheers, Steve. Keep up the awesome channel here. You're doing a great thing. You can use my name. It's Dave Cameron. I'm 47 years old now. P.S. Remember, everyone, to stay safe and live life to the fullest. Dave, that's awesome. Thanks for that share, man. Up near Hope. So, you went up near Hope, my neck of the woods. I'm guessing you must have gone up through Lillooet and maybe possibly to Goldbridge. I'm guessing. That Goldbridge area is an absolute, and Lillooet, what am I talking about? The whole province is inundated with these experiences. It's just the way it is. All right, here we go. Another one. Thanks for sending that in, man. send more when you come across it. All right. Extremely important. Wow. All right. Steve, please read this to your viewers as soon as possible, as all the information I'm about to tell you will eventually affect everyone, especially all the hunters out there first and the rest of the population. There's a spread of prion disease, chronic wasting disease, mad cow disease, heavily spreading across America, found in deer coming out of Canada. You can find a map on the CDC website, as well as doing a quick Google search showing just how fast and far this is spreading. You would think all media, news outlets, and the government especially would be shouting this from the rooftops to warn everyone, but they are mostly silent about the spread, effects, and severity of this disease. Prion, mad cow, and chronic wasting disease can take up to 30 years to start showing symptoms in people. Crazy. These symptoms are just like dementia and Alzheimer's. It is imperative that hunters send in samples to get their meat tested before consuming any wild game meat. This affects all animals and humans and spreads easily from animal to animal than to humans. It doesn't matter if you have domesticated animals or pets, they too will be infected if they eat off the ground where the animal with prion disease urinated or defecated. Wow, that's pretty contagious. I would conclude the map of the USA and Canada along with this message, but for some reason I'm having issues just typing out this message. Not sure if it's the app or what, but please, please, please inform everyone on your channel, family, friends, and fellow hunters to be careful and vigilant and test all wild game meat. It is already in many states and will only spread and get worse. I do have a few stories to share with you, but I will wait till a later date to do so, as I think at the moment this is much more important and I don't want to take up much of your time. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for everything that you do and giving people a safe place to share their stories. Best regards, Diane Meninga. I hope I pronounced that right, Diane. Thank you very much for that warning. It's much appreciated. And obviously I just passed it on. What else do we got? I'll be looking into that myself for sure, Diane, all right? Just so you know. I'll be looking right into it. I know Dave Cloud's been talking about it. Or maybe another one. We'll see. It's getting cold. It's supposed to drop to minus 18 tomorrow, minus 17. And it's definitely starting to feel it coming down right now. This is titled, It Joins the Party. It was 1 a.m. Saturday morning in the month of May. Me and 4 of my guy friends were hanging out with 2 girlfriends at my friend's grandma's house, hanging out drinking pretty heavy. Being in our 20s and at the time, we wanted to keep the party going. We were getting pretty loud, and out of respect for his grandma, we decided we should get going somewhere else. Out of respect for your grandma, you shouldn't have been drinking there in the first place. Sorry, I just had to say that. Preferably somewhere we can be as loud as we want and no one will be bothered or have an issue with us. So we decided to drive out to Greenwater, Washington, because there is a lot of woods on the east side of that town and it's perfect to cause a ruckus. Being stupid, young adults, we decided, hey, why don't we bring both the 12-gauge shotguns, and while we're at it, I also have this old car door that we can bring and shoot the hell out of. So that was you guys. So we drove the 2 vehicles up the winding highway into the woods for miles until we were sure there wasn't anyone that could possibly find us or hear us. Eventually pulling off into an old logging road, we got out and realized it was pitch black. All you could see was as far as you could reach. We used our cell phone lights and walked into the darkness probably 50 feet from the vehicles until we couldn't go any further because the ground ended into a dangerous drop. We realized we were above an extremely vast valley that we knew was remote because we couldn't see one single light or sign of life. It just looked like eternal no man's land. We decided it was the perfect spot to make a fire because there was an opening of trees overlooking the valley and the stars looked beautiful above the darkness. It was extremely stupid because with how intoxicated everyone was, one wrong step and any one of us would have fell to our death. Anyways, we started to crack another half a gallon and open a couple racks of beer as we started to build a fire and started to have a good time. An hour passed by when we decided to bring out the shotguns and grab the loose car door that we brought out for a target. We hung it up on the tree at the very edge of the drops, so if we were shooting it, it was going to be into the valley below. We loaded the shotguns with solid slugs, started unloading on this old car door. The slugs were making Swiss cheese out of it. After about 20 minutes of shooting, there was a moment when we were loading with ammo again when we heard something very faint in the distance. It sounded almost like a wild man hollering. We started laughing because we thought it was someone that was camping, that we woke up from the noise we were making. I imagined the slugs hitting the steel door was echoing over the valley, and you could hear it for miles. We brushed it off and kept shooting even more, just being assholes. In between shots, we would keep hearing the holler, and we realized that it sounded like it was getting closer with each shot, which was very strange considering that the holler was coming from the valley below us. We just kept shooting slugs. We were saying to ourselves, they aren't going to get close because they don't know how many of us there is, and they know we're armed. We were wrong, because before we realized it, it was getting close and closer. That's when we started to get nervous, because we realized he/her or it didn't care one bit about the shotguns we had. It was getting close enough that we noticed the noises, which I can't really describe, didn't sound human anymore. It sounded like some kind of gorilla or ape. It was extremely angry. It sounded very large, and judging from how far it was when we first heard it and how close it was getting, it had to be extremely agile to get up from that valley miles below. We loaded the shotguns one more time until they were completely topped. We let off a shot and realized that whatever it was below us maybe 20 feet. Holy shit. We started to get terrified, but no one was trying to show it because we wanted to act tough around the girls so they wouldn't see us being scared. We let off a shot into the darkness. That's when it got quiet. Me and the guys looked at each other like we'd seen ghosts. Extremely terrified, we weren't sure what was going to happen next. Not even the shotguns we had gave us any security at that moment. We heard a branch above us break, and we look up. I'll never forget seeing the reflection of the fire around the trees towering above us and the stars sparkling like diamonds. I wish I could have enjoyed that view instead of feeling the chill of something staring at you, but you can't see anything back. That was the moment you could hear a pin drop. All of a sudden we heard it let off a blood-curdling holler, just as we suspected, in the trees right above us. I almost dropped the shotgun as the girls screamed, and we all started bumping into each other like roaches scattering after the lights turned on. I remember everyone running back towards the car without anyone even having to say it. I'm sad to say we didn't even bother to put out the fire, considering we felt like our lives were in danger. How we got back to the cars without a light, I have no idea, but we did. We jammed into the two cars as we brought and burned rubber, flinging dirt everywhere. Even while we were on the highway, it still felt like the thing was right behind us. The whole ride back, you could tell no one knew what to make of it. Everyone was pale, and I'm sure some of us were trembling. We didn't even bother talking about it. Not even days or weeks after the fact did anyone speak on it. This was in 2015. I didn't know what it was until I fell into researching stuff about the paranormal and fell into Sasquatch rabbit hole, and my heart dropped. I got goosebumps when I come into the realization that most probable thing was that we had an encounter with the Sasquatch. I still don't know if I was lucky or unlucky to have that kind of opportunity that many people, I'm sure, they wish they had. I've come to the conclusion that I can tell people I hit the lottery in my lifetime, and I'm grateful. Thank you, Steve, for giving the people a voice, letting everyone share their special experiences in life. God bless you and the community. Well, you gotta admit, that sounds pretty freaking intimidating. That is some intimidation, right? You imagine being a lone being and bolting through the darkness, through the timber in the middle of nowhere, and bolting at a group of people with guns going off, and not even having that fizzle you for 1/10 of a second, and then to manage to get above them and scare the shit out of them. That's some intimidating stealth and stalking skills, right? Again, outclassing the living shit out of us, and there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing. It's going to be interesting going for a hike back in there, isn't it? But anyway, that should be good for right now. I'm gonna come back. What is this? Christmas Eve tomorrow, you guys. Everybody ready? It's gonna be a tough day. It's a tough time of year for a lot of people right now, especially especially these days. So make sure you take care of everybody out there, all right? You know somebody that's going off by themselves and keeping them alone and away from everybody intentionally, go pull them out of that hole and bring them over. Or bring them a plate of food or something, all right? There's a lot of people having a tough time right now. And they're just hoping for this week to come and go as fast as it can. Believe me, I've been one of those people, all right? So make sure you go seek them out and grab them and show them that they count, all right? And I will be back and I'm going to share more. And somehow, you guys, I got to figure out how I can speak out loud about the issues going on in my community today without annoying everybody too much. I guess the Rumble channel ought to do it, right? There's a lot of things going on right now that are just absolutely plain wrong. No one qualifies to or is in the position today to tell anyone in North America or other places on the face of this earth how many people you can have in your home or whether or not you can have a New Year's party. We don't do that here. That's what North Korea does. All right? That's what North Korea does. That's what the Taliban does. We don't do that here in Canada. There's many atrocities going on in our communities today, and all you've got to decide it's enough soon. All right? And turn it around because we can, because we're the people. We run this joint. The people do. Take it back. All right? I'll talk more about that later. You know my stance on everything. Be safe out there. I'll be back tomorrow one last time.